People, the One Piece is real.
One Piece は実在する!
Well, at least the Netflix adaptation of One Piece is real. We've watched it and we love it. It's the same fantastic pirate adventure story that we've grown to know and love from the manga and the anime. Well, I should say, mostly the same. Because yes, there are some differences between Netflix's One Piece live action adaptation and the source material. And you know what? For the most part, I'm not mad about it. Some of these changes I even loved. And so in today's video I wanted to highlight 5 changes that I loved from the One Piece live action adaptation. Let's get to it.
Come have fun with us and don't forget to subscribe.
After years of talking about it, thinking about it, dreaming about it, waiting for it to come, but also kind of being low-key scared of when it would come because you don't know what it's gonna look like, on August 31st, 2023, we were finally treated to 8 episodes of live-action Straw Hat and Dendenmushi action. The verdict? Well, it seems like they did the impossible and made a Netflix adaptation of a popular anime that people don't hate. And actually, a lot of people seems to like it. Me and Anna included. This is Anna, by the way. That's my wife. Love you. The show adapts most of the East Blue saga, from the beginning of Luffy's adventure to the end of Arlong Park, and manages to stay mostly faithful to the source material's story, characters, and themes. Showrunners Matt Owens and Steven Maeda are both huge One Piece fans, and Eiichiro Oda himself, the creator of One Piece, was involved in the making of this adaptation. The fact that this was made by fans with assistance from the creator of the manga kind of help explains why it avoids some of the pitfalls of previous anime adaptation and mostly stays true to the story that it's based on. But it's an adaptation. And of course, adapting something as long and as intricate as One Piece into live action is going to present some challenges. Things have to be cut and changes have to be made for many reasons, including time constraints, feasibility, or just in order to better fit the live action format. And while some of these changes are controversial,
Apologies, Vice Admiral.
some are actually great. They respect the spirit of the source material and help provide new information, streamline some events, or make things more enticing for newcomers and old fans alike. In this video, we're going to present you a list of 5 changes that the show made that we loved. I say we because this is a list that me and Anna made together. It's not a list of every changes the show made, but it's a list of those that stood the most to us, in a positive way. Zoro and Nami bonding. If we get another season, now scratch that. When we get another season, I want more of this.
I'll bet you didn't have any friends as a kid.
I had friends.
Swords don't count.
I had one friend.
The Zoro-Nami relationship is one of the most enjoyable elements of Netflix's One Piece. One of One Piece's biggest strengths is its characters. With their unique personalities, quirks, deep backstories, and motivations, they're at the heart of the story. And I love the way these characters interact with each other and how it brings me joy, hype, hope, even tears sometimes to see them grow together as the story unfolds. Nowhere is this more true than within the Straw Hat crew. I've always enjoyed seeing different members of the crew hang out together, have fun, chit-chat, even argue. It really makes their bond more believable and the characters more likable. The anime has a lot of these bonding moments. For example, Luffy and Usopp goofing around together. The show decided to highlight some of those crewmate interactions through several additional scenes between the crew's navigator and the first mate. In those scenes, they learn about each other and even care for each other. The duo, who at first seems to not be able to get along, end up sharing some personal stories through a drinking game. I really liked how that scene digs into both of their backstories and allowed them to learn about each other. And it also shows the audience different facets of their personalities, including their capacity for drinking. Later on, when Zoro is gravely injured, we see how worried Nami is. She even stays at his bedside to read him a story.
Was an explorer named Mont Blanc Noland.
His stories were always grand adventures that sounded like lies.
Story sounds familiar, doesn't it? Anyway, this really shows how much she came to care about him and the time that they spent together, which makes the shock of what seems to be her betrayal of the crew even more impactful to the audience. Those specific Zoro and Nami scenes were not in the manga or the anime, and their addition made me enjoy not only Zoro and Nami's relationship more, but also made me love Emily Rudd and Makenyu's portrayal of these characters. These were just some of the added scenes between the two that we get, and I love that they did this. Hopefully, we get more in the future. More Buggy. Yes, we do get lots of Buggy the Clown in Netflix's One Piece. While the events of Orange Town are shortened compared to the manga, Buggy's presence is still felt throughout the live-action show. After his defeat at the hand of Luffy, we get to see him at the Baratier and in Arlong Park. These are new scenes that were not in the manga, and we're thankful that our favorite pirate clown was given an extended role for the adaptation. Why? Because Buggy's fun, and because Jeff Ward is great. In general, the cast of the One Piece live action does a fantastic job bringing to life these beloved characters. One of the standout performances though is Jeff Ward's Buggy the Clown. For those who don't know, Buggy the Clown is the main antagonist of the Orange Town arc, a story arc in which he and his clown themed pirate crew have taken over and destroyed a local village. Buggy is a fun character in the manga, and while he's still funny in live action, Jeff Ward's portrayal kind of also gives him an interesting edge. It also helps that the makeup they put him in is terrifying. Ward really gives it his all as Buggy, making us enjoy every scene he's in, even when some of those scenes are not part of the source material. And while he's present in more arc this time than he was originally, we still get just the right amount of Buggy without ever getting tired of him. Of course, some of us knew that Jeff Ward was great ever since we saw him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And I don't care what anybody says, that show was great. Zoro vs Mr. 7. Oh my god, this is such an awesome fight, and such a great introduction to Zoro's character. It's kinda hard to believe it wasn't in the manga. This change is one of the many that shows that the showrunners truly know their stuff and they're fans of One Piece. The fight between Zoro and Baroqueworks' Mr. 7 was only alluded to in the manga, and yet they still managed to make it an awesome and accurate moment when they fleshed it out. Mr. 7 was never shown in any chapter or episodes of One Piece, but Oda added a rough sketch of the character inside of volume 36 of the manga as a response to a fan asking what the agent looked like. With limited amount of information on the design, Matt Owens and Steven Maeda still managed to transform the actor into a Mr. 7 that resembled Oda's doodle. I mean, look at this, the spiky hair, the face tattoo, the swords, they could be twins! Character design accuracy aside, the short discussion between the two characters also fit what little information we had about the encounter, with Zoro telling Mr. 7 he's only interested in the number 1 position. The fight itself is short, but it's beautifully choreographed and set in a really interesting backdrop that adds to the atmosphere of the scene. The ease with which Mr. 7 is disposed of also helps show that Zoro is not someone you should mess up with, even this early on in the series. And the fact that he drags around the head of the agent so that he can collect the bounty is a beautiful addition. There's one more reason why I love this change. It makes me think of all the possibilities. All of the fights and altercation that we only ever hear about in the manga. That maybe, just maybe, could be fleshed out in future episodes of the adaptation. Fingers crossed. The fights aren't too dragged out. Look, it's no secret, One Piece is long. At the moment of the release of this live-action adaptation, the manga had more than 1,000 chapters, and the anime more than 1,000 episodes. Neither are over yet, by the way, and the story is expected to go on for some years still. One of the reasons the show is so long is because fight sequences take a long time. Sometimes it's because Luffy and the others have a hard time with a strong opponent. Other times, external or comedic elements come into play, making the fights much longer. And while it was funny in the anime, I don't think we needed to see Inyaki's Luffy stuck in the ground for a couple of episodes while he was fighting Arlong, or sleeping under a mast while he was fighting Kuro. And honestly, this change allows the show to keep a good pace and make the most of its 8-episode limit. The fights generally don't suffer much from being shorter. They still look really good, they're well choreographed, and keep you on the edge of your seat. Most of the main moments and attacks from the manga are also present and well replicated. So far, the show's been able to reach that thin balance between needing to cut stuff from the fights in order to make them shorter, and not cutting too much so that you don't recognize these iconic battles anymore. And we're hoping this trend continues.
Not at all. I won't stand for this any longer.
Mary's dead? So we've all heard it, right? Oda doesn't kill. It's not really true, but it's one of the biggest criticisms that One Piece gets, the way it treats death. Several times in the story, characters are given what seems to be an emotional, shocking, and extended death scene only so that later on it can be revealed that they survived their certain death, which somewhat diminishes the impact of those scenes as well as the overall stakes. One of the earliest examples of this was Mary from the Syrup Village arc. And the original story, Mary is shown being slashed by Kuro and then is left for dead by the pirate turned butler. We learn the next day that he survived when he's found by Kaya. And while Mary's death is not one of the most controversial ones, it still helps establish the pattern that can sometimes be frustrating. Netflix's solution for that? Kill Mary and let him stay dead. While watching the adaptation of the Syrup Village event, I was waiting for our lamb-looking butler to make a miraculous recovery, even after being impaled by Kuro. But the moment never came. Mary died and remained dead. That was a pleasant surprise, and the added stakes kind of fit the live-action format perfectly. And also because of it, naming the Straw Hats ship Mary now has a whole new meaning. And you know what, thinking of this change, and I know you thought about it too, I thought about the possibility that a certain bird might not survive. I guess we'll see.
I'm setting out to follow my dreams. I'm gonna be king of the pirates!
So these were just 5 of the many changes that the live-action One Piece made that we thought were great ideas. When these adaptations are announced, it's normal for the fanbase to want them to stay as close as possible to the source material. But when adapting something into a totally different medium, change is inevitable. Sometimes that change goes too far and the original work is unrecognizable. And sometimes good ideas can come out of it. So far, Netflix's One Piece live-action adaptation has been able to find the right balance between keeping things the same and making necessary changes.
That went pretty well. Don't you think?
Not all of the changes work, but as we just saw, some of them do. Thank you for watching this video. Let us know what you thought of our list in the comment section below. Did you love these changes? Did you hate them? What are some of the changes you loved or hated from the One Piece live-action adaptation? Don't hesitate to hit the like button if you liked our video and subscribe if you want to see more from us. Hit that notification bell also to be sure to be notified whenever we drop a video. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.